Welcome into the American Digital Network studio. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise. I'm Haley Outen. This past week, the conference announced the addition of Wichita State Athletics effective this upcoming academic year. And there's no doubt Shocker fans are excited. So today we wanted to dive deep into what people across the country are saying about this addition to the league. It's been a rather warm welcome from members all around the conference. Even UCF's very own Nitro got in on the action, tweeting this: "Bring it in for the real deal at Woo Shock." Woo then responded, "Nitro, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship." But that clever Nitro added that he can't wait to meet him. We see what he did there. A fan favorite and Temple head coach Fran Dunphy also had some nice things to say. The addition of Wichita State bolsters an incredibly strong American Athletic Conference, one of the top programs in the Midwest. The Shockers have been an NCAA tournament staple, making 6 straight trips to the Big Dance under head coach Greg Marshall, including an appearance in the 2013 Final Four. I applaud the conference presidents for their forward thinking for the league. I had a chance to sit down with the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, Mike Oresco, and find out why the presidents were unanimously in favor of the addition of the Shockers.
Well, I think, Haley, it was the desire to strengthen our basketball primarily, and the idea of one team as opposed to multiple teams had appeal to the conference. And I think the presidents took the recommendation of our athletic directors, which was Wichita State fits our profile. They'll be a tremendous addition to our basketball conference. They'll strengthen us in a lot of different ways. They'll raise our RPI. They're geographically compatible with so many of our schools. So there were a lot of things in their favor. We didn't have to do this, but just because we didn't have to doesn't mean you wouldn't want to do it. And I think the prevailing feeling was, and it was a unanimous vote, is that this does strengthen our league, and down the road, that's going to have beneficial effects.
Under men's basketball head coach Greg Marshall, the Shockers have certainly become a consistent program in the national conversation with 8 20-win seasons, 4 straight Missouri Valley Conference titles, and 6 straight NCAA appearances. Marshall is ready for his program to go to new heights.
Our top 10 in terms of minutes played will be returning, and then we've got an opportunity to add a couple of guys as well. So we feel like our program is on a good level. We've been NCAA tournament now for 6 straight years. We've advanced in the tournament the last 5 years. So we feel like we're in a good position to be entering this league, and hopefully we can continue this well into the future.
We learned a little bit about the home of the Shockers this week as well. 15,000 students strong, Koch Arena has hosted crowds of 10,000 plus in 197 consecutive games. And that home court atmosphere might just have a little something to do with Wichita State winning 59 of their last 60 games on campus. Wichita State Eagle reporter Paul Solentrop has a front row seat to all the action, and we had a chance to catch up with him this week to find out what fans from across the conference will experience on game day in Wichita.
Well, Wichita State basketball has pretty much been the big story in this city going back to, I guess, the 50s, and then in the 60s they really got it going. And Cincinnati was a member of the Missouri Valley Conference back in those days, and so was Tulsa. And they play in Koch Arena. Used to be called the Roundhouse, so it's a round seating configuration. It seats about 10,200 people, and it's largely packed for every game. It is it's the focal point of this community as far as athletics goes. There are a lot of schools where maybe a non-conference game in early November will not be a big deal. That's not the case at Wichita State. All of these games are generally really well attended. One game out of the year, they play at the downtown arena, Trust Bank Arena, which seats about 15,000. That'll be Oklahoma next year, and that's a big deal too. So there's no basketball off season, and Koch Arena really has the potential to get loud and be a difficult place to play.
Just down the road about 3 hours is longtime rival Tulsa, and they just couldn't wait until next season to get the competition brewing, so they took to Twitter for what else but a classic game of Connect 4 emoji style. And they welcomed Wichita with class, letting the Shockers make the first move. It seems as though we cannot name a victor, which will leave plenty of opportunities to finish this unsettled business in the upcoming year. I had a chance to speak with Tulsa World beat writer Kelly Hines on what the perception of this edition has been like in Tulsa.
This is a rivalry that goes back between the two basketball programs to, I think, the 30s, 126 times that these teams have met. So definitely in terms of men's basketball, it's very exciting news, although I think it is going to make the conference race a lot more difficult for really everyone. But, from Tulsa's perspective, Athletic Director Derek Gregg was on the advisory committee, to help Mike Oresco decide, whether Wichita State would be a good fit for the league. So obviously he was on board with it. And, I think from a fan perspective, having that rivalry that goes back for so long, just brings an added appeal.
This isn't just a great move for Wichita State. College basketball experts believe that this addition will overall strengthen the league and American brand. One of those people being CBS sports writer Matt Norlander. Matt gave us his thoughts on what needs to happen this upcoming season in order for the American to have a stronger presence in the big dance come March.
Ultimately, a program like UConn, it means so much to the league. I'm not speaking out of school here. If UConn's not good, the perception of the American's going to be down. Obviously, it was a very rough year for UConn. It's a critical year next season for Kevin Ollie. They do have talent coming back. It can't just be Cincinnati's a top 20 team, Wichita State's a top 10 team, and that's going to totally be the tide that rises all boats in the American. You're going to have more teams than that. I'd like to see Temple have a solid season. They've got a chance to be a top 40 team. In my opinion, if you can get 4 or 5 teams minimally into the NCAA tournament conversation, I think that's pivotal. But obviously the biggest brand names being good is going to help that conference in a big time way. And then there are other teams like, obviously Central Florida had a good season this past season, and they return and still have an NCAA tournament type team. I think that's possible. But obviously the most important factor, I would say next season, it's Wichita State being a top 10 team, and then UConn being a top 25 team. We don't have any guarantees of that, but those are the 2 most important factors. I think SMU, Cincinnati will still be good, but we've got to kind of wait and see elsewhere what happens with the league. But without a doubt, it's now, as I coming full circle here with this discussion, it is clearly like there is a clear line now. There are a top 7 conferences in college basketball. The American is in that, and it's not even necessarily 7th, by the way. With the membership that it has now, it's got a solid chance to float between that 4 and 6 range, depending on how teams perform next season.
Matt had a lot of great insight on what this Wichita State move means for both the league and the Shockers. To check out the full interview, head to our YouTube page, where you can also find the full-length discussions with each of our guests, talking everything Wichita State. Thanks for tuning in to this special edition of The Rise here on the American Digital Network. Have a great weekend, everybody.